Even though your New England Patriots did not select a tight end in the 2023 NFL Draft, one of the most famous part-time tight ends is about to receive the franchise's greatest honor. Stick around. You're about to be locked in to the Locked On Patriots podcast.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful. Thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots the daily part of your New England Patriots coverage. Don't forget, Locked On Patriots is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm your host, Mike Debate, and I cover your New England Patriots for Patriots Country of Sports Illustrated. So reach out to me and let me know what's on your mind on Twitter at MDABATENFL. And while you're out there showing some love to the Twitterverse, please be sure to follow the Locked On Patriots account as well at LO_Patriots. Pats fans, thank you all for joining me here on this midweek episode of Locked On Patriots. Special shout out, as always, to all of you Locked On Patriots everydayers, all of the loyalists here on Locked On. We appreciate you. We hope that you're going to stay with us for a good long while. And Patriots fans, it is going to be an exciting midweek episode because if it's midweek, that means a visit from the midweek monarch here on Locked On Patriots. The illustrious ClazzyClare Cooper will join me in just a moment. And if Claire's here, you know we're going to be talking some tight endage. The New England Patriots did not select a tight end in this draft. A deep class. We all thought it was going to happen at least at some point, but as the rounds continued to tick away, the New England Patriots failed to secure the services of a bona fide tight end. They don't have tight end under contract beyond 2023. So what does this mean for the future of the position in New England? Well, who better than Claire to regale us with her wisdom and counsel? And she will do that when she joins me here in just a moment. But we're not only going to talk tight endage, folks. We're also going to talk about the future of this draft. Who's going to carry this team into that next realm, that next level, or maybe even that next era here in New England? Claire and I are going to share all of that information, so keep it right here on Locked On Patriots when the Countess of Claz joins me here in just a moment. But first, folks, he is definitely one of the greatest linebackers in New England Patriots history. And starting this summer, you'll be able to call him a Patriots Hall of Famer. The Pats announcing on Wednesday that former linebacker and current Tennessee Titans head coach Mike Vrabel will be honored as the 34th inductee into the Patriots Hall of Fame. Mike had been a 7-time finalist. He edged out former offensive lineman Logan Mankins and Pro Football Hall of Fame coach Bill Parcells to determine the 2023 inductee. And I know a lot of the social media activity going on. There's a little bit of a buzz about whether Parcells should have been inducted, whether Vrabel was the right choice. Look, I don't think anybody is denying that Vrabel is worthy of induction. I haven't seen one person come forward and say this was the wrong pick. Maybe they're saying it was the wrong time, but Vrabel definitely deserves to be in the Patriots Hall of Fame. The case for Parcells is an interesting one and a conversation, quite honestly, for another day. We'll get its moment here on Locked On Patriots because I think there are arguments for it, and I do think there are arguments against it as well. But for today, let's give Mike his just due because he deserves it. Anything more is, I think, superfluous and maybe a little self-indulgent. Mike Vrabel deserves his moment right now. He is the inductee. To start bringing up other media-driven agendas, I think does a disservice to what Mike Vrabel did as a member of the New England Patriots here. Robert Kraft issuing a classy statement, as always, quote, "It is my pleasure to announce Mike Vrabel as this year's selection to the Patriots Hall of Fame. Mike's leadership and versatility were principal to one of the most successful eras in franchise history, propelling the Pats to 3 Super Bowl titles in 4 years and establishing multiple NFL records for consecutive game win streaks." Folks, Vrabel was an integral part of this dynasty. There's no question about it. He came in 2001 as a free agent, and I think you can make the argument this is one of the greatest free agent signings in Patriots history. He was not expected to come in and be the player that he was when he signed here out of Pittsburgh, but Versatility is a word you hear a lot here on Locked On Patriots. It's a favorite of the New England Patriots. It's a favorite of mine. And he really defined the word versatility without any question. Started at inside, outside linebacker. You saw him line up on offense in short yardage and goal line situations. The jumbo tight end, yeah, he played it very, very well. Caught 8 regular season passes, 2 more in the playoffs. Every one of his 10 catches resulted in a touchdown. That's a pretty good offensive record. Of course, it helps a little bit having Tom Brady throwing you those as well. But at the same time, you got to give Mike all the credit in the world for making the catches and knowing exactly how to line up. One of the great guys that you'll come across here in Patriots lore, and really one of the most outspoken. I, for one, cannot wait to hear this induction speech, but there's no question about it. He is a valuable contributor to the Patriots on so many levels, offense, defense, and even in special teams. He was great in a lot of coverage units. Finished his playing career as a member of the Kansas City Chiefs, but when you think of Mike Vrabel on the field, you automatically think of him as a New England Patriot. 3-time Super Bowl champion, he solidified his position as one of the great Patriots of all time. He was a member of the Patriots' 50th anniversary team, Sports Illustrated's all-decade team from 2000 to 2009. He was on that as well. 48 sacks as a Patriot. Mike really came across to the fan base this time around, and he was their choice. And I definitely respect it. I wish Mike congratulations. On Thursday afternoon, the media is going to get a chance to speak with Mike. I can't wait to play my part in that as well. So keep a sharp eye out, folks. Definitely a lot more coming on that in Sports Illustrated, and we'll mention it again here on Locked On Patriots. But until then, a tip of the cap, a nod to the gods, to Mike Vrabel, who will be the 34th inductee into the Patriots Hall of Fame, joining former assistant coach, Patriots legend in his own right, Dante Scarnecchia. Don't forget, Dante was named as a class of 2023 contributor by Robert Kraft of the annual meeting in April. And of course, the date and time for the Patriots 2023 Hall of Fame induction ceremony still to be determined. That's going to be announced at a later date. Safe bet on that one would either be during the month of August, sometime in the summer, or most likely at the end of September, which is usually when the Patriots hold these. But it could be any time. Keep it right here on Locked On Patriots, and we'll keep you informed as soon as more information is known. But that being said, the New England Patriots have a season to play, and they have a roster to build, and they did a lot over last weekend to build that roster. 12 new Patriots drafted, 3 undrafted rookie free agents in here. What does it all mean for the Patriots? Well, not any one of those draftees was a tight end. They did bring in an undrafted rookie free agent tight end, but was it enough? Well, we know it wasn't enough for my co-host today, who's going to be joining me here in just a moment. ClazzyClare Cooper joins me to talk tight endage and what it means for the future of the New England Patriots, especially this draft class, when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues. But first, folks, today's episode brought to you by our good friends over at Built. And if you're like me and you're looking for a delicious snack but don't want all of the calories and all the sugar, and folks, you have got to try Built. You got to try this. I don't know how they do it, but they continually do it. They make a phenomenally delicious product, but all they do is they allow it to maintain amazing macros, folks. It's amazing. I get tongue-tied all the time thinking about it because these guys are just that good at doing what they do. On average, 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, but a whopping 17 grams of protein. And now you don't even need to wait for a box. That's right. For years, we've been talking about ordering your favorite Built bars at Built.com. Well, you can still do that, but you can also walk into a Walmart, walk right up to the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built bars. You can get a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or caramel puff. And if you're near a Sam's Club, even better. You can walk up, grab a 13-bar box of some amazing hit flavors like brownie batter puff and churro puff. Folks, don't delay. Do it today. You can thank me later. Built.com or at your local Sam's Club or Walmart. Built, you gotta try this. Patriots fans, thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage, especially all you everydayers out there, all you legions of Locked On loyalists. I can't thank you enough. Each and every day, you make Locked On Patriots possible, and we do appreciate it each and every day. And of course, folks, don't forget, tomorrow here on the pod, Spencer McLaughlin, host of Locked On Oregon Ducks, is going to be breaking down the Christian Gonzalez pick, and you're going to want to catch this expert analysis. Don't miss it. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. But today, folks, it is the midweek point here on Locked On Patriots. And who else do we welcome than the midweek monarch here on Locked On Patriots, the Empress of tight endage, the esteemed Countess of Clare, ClazzyClare Cooper of Pat's Propaganda and a Clare Perspective of Patriots podcast. Welcome back to the pod, Countess.
Oh, well, thank you for having me back. As always.
Absolutely. We always love having you on, Claire. And this week particularly, we are really intrigued by what Claire's opinion is going to be on Patriots draft habits or their draft strategy, because, as our good friend Billy Zane would say, the Countess was displeased. What to do? Claire, Dalton Kincaid, Michael Mayer, Darnell Washington, Sam Laporta, Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, Luke Schoonmaker, Josh Wiley, Brenton Strange, Zach Kuntz, they all have something in common. None of these players are New England Patriots. This surprised me. I'll be very honest with you. This was a very deep tight end class. The Patriots have no tight ends under contract for 2024. And you have to wonder what the strategy is here. If the Patriots had zeroed in on guys and they just weren't available, or if this is a part of just, well, yeah, it's a nice to have, but it's not an essential, and we're going to do our due diligence elsewhere. I had the opportunity to talk to Matt Groh, and Matt was very vague in a lot of details about why they went in for tight ends, said, we're not just going to draft one to draft one, but there is a possibility that, we were in on guys and they just went off the board quickly. Claire, without stealing your thunder as much as I already have, what was your reaction to this? I know as a fan, I know you were devastated, but as an analyst, as someone that looks at this position of what the Patriots could do with any one of the tight ends that I just mentioned, how big of a mistake do you think the Patriots made here by not dipping into this deep class?
It's really hard to detach kind of the fan passion, the desire, and the sort of the logic, especially now, because it didn't feel like there was a logical reason. Now, on the record, I have already said this, I think on a Clare Perspective this morning, that the guys that they got, I'm not against anybody. There aren't any players that I'm like, oh, he's not that great or whatever. I don't claim to know enough to really be able to like judge anything anyway, just generally, but specifically in regards to these players. So it is difficult to sort of say, well, they could have not taken XYZ and they could have taken a tight end, or they shouldn't have taken so-and-so and then they should have moved up, that kind of thing. I haven't got the sort of the skill set to really say that, the experience to really say that. But the one thing that is sort of concerning is the fact that it was such a deep class. And not only that, although it wasn't the most immediate of needs, it also wasn't not a need, because as you alluded to, Hunter and Gesicki are only on 1-year contracts. They're only contracted through 23. However, yes, of course, they could be extended. That could be increased. We could even see that in this offseason before we even really, get to the season. We could see an extension, for example, for Hunter. Now, I don't know. I'm just speculating, folks. So, but to that end, that's still only extending sort of who you've already got, the skill set that you've already got. And don't forget these, I hate to sound ageist because I'm not. And the NFL is this really interesting sport where we talk about 20-odd-year-old, 26-year-olds as old, and things like this, 28-year-olds, he's old. And it's like, it's just crazy. But when it comes to the skill position, things like that, the tight end, they put themselves through a lot. It's another reason why kind of like running backs, for example, you only get a running back through his first contract generally, because they get so battered and bruised and broken. And it's because they throw themselves into the sport. And that's kind of what makes them, they're really good at their position. And Hunter isn't already without injury that we've seen as a Patriot, let alone prior to his time with the Patriots. So it's not like you've got the kind of young, new, ripe for the picking. Now, yes, age doesn't necessarily matter. You can get injured regardless of your age, but you're looking at a stock that is older, that has already had injury, that kind of thing. So to not address the fact that you need just young, fresh blood, somebody that, to build forward, to kind of go forward with the franchise or the future at that position, that kind of thing. They really stilled at the tight end position with just remaining with Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki. And they also stilted at the kind of skill set in regards to that as well, because although I know that they've taken the undrafted, or they've picked up the undrafted free agent of Johnny Lumpkin out of Louisiana, they haven't, other than that, they haven't really got the blockingness of a tight end. And what was in this draft class was well-rounded tight ends. Now, yeah, some of the ones that we would have been talking about, like the Josh Wileys, that kind of thing, yeah, they're not super duper tight end ones starting, pass catching superstars. No, we're talking the tight end 2/3 where they've got a bit of pass catching ability. They can kind of be utilized in the run play. They can be utilized in the pass play, and they can block. And that's kind of sort of mostly what they're missing now. Gesicki is known for not really being a blocker. Hunter, a little bit of, each, but he isn't so much a blocker. And not only that they've kind of missed out on that sort of skill set of putting that in as a TE3, if you like. They've also missed on the fact that they can bring in a young guy under Bill O'Brien, develop him, and then in a couple of years where maybe they don't renew on Hunter, or Mike Gesicki retires, or whatever, that kind of thing, they've already got somebody in place. We're not going back to 2019, 2020 when they had to ask Ben Watson to not retire and things like this, the craziness that was that. And I mean, you guys all know that I love me some Ryan Izzo, and I still do, I don't care, but yeah, they didn't have much when it came to tight endage, and to move away from this draft class to go forward with literally nothing. And I know a lot of people will say, well, they did pick up the undrafted free agent. For me, that kind of, I felt even worse when they picked him up than if they hadn't have picked one up completely, because it's like people can argue, oh, well, they did take a tight end. No, but they didn't take what the skill set that was there, what the depth of there, what the quality that was there, that they was ripe for the picking. And I know there's arguments, well, if they, as I said at the beginning, if they'd have taken this person, they wouldn't have taken this player, that kind of thing. But when you look at who was available around the sort of times, the amount of draft capital they had, the argument that you could make that they could have taken the kicker a little bit later. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. I like that they've taken a kicker. I love that they've taken a punter, but that's for another day. It's just, you still look at, they've really stacked certain positions. Granted, they needed depth. It's that kind of push-pull of you never have enough when you really want the one you want kind of thing. And they've added depth, but they didn't add this, and they added that, and they didn't add this. I mean, you look at, I think it's the Titans. I heard a Titans fan on one of the podcasts that I've listened to that argue that they didn't add a wide receiver, and that's one of their biggest needs. And I think as fans, we're always going to want something that we didn't get. We're never going to want every single thing that we wanted. And yeah, as I said, looking at who they did take, I was quite happy. It's just, I am surprised. I am a bit stunned that they completely passed over the tight end class that is this year, simply because it's a class that we aren't going to see for a while, at a position that you aren't going to see that. We've had a run of very good wide receiver classes kind of year on year. I know we're not in one, that we weren't in one this year, but there was a run on it, and it is a position that you'll see, with there was depth at cornerback this year. The tight end class, because it's a particular position, because it's sort of one of the ones that it takes at least a year for them to kind of get integrated, that kind of thing. It's a difficult position because they're running an offense from not just the pass, but also from the run perspective. So you've got guys that it's a little bit more specialized when it comes to that role. And you're also talking about size as well. I mean, we had a running back of 5'5" who's now in the NFL, potentially went to the Cowboys, and it's not really, it doesn't work like that when it comes to tight ends. You need to be a big guy. You can't get away with being a little bit smaller, as you maybe can at different other positions. Skoronski with his slightly, I mean, I argued it, but he's slightly undersized arm length, so he's not a tackle. I mean, for me, it was a little bit crazy, but each to their own. So there are things that you can get away with at other positions. Now, granted, there's things that you can't. I'm not just saying that the tight end is it, but for example, a tight end, you really need the guy to be big if he's going to be blocking. He needs strength if he's going to be blocking,
Right.
but he also needs to be agile if he's going to be a pass catcher. So it isn't necessarily a position that you can easily get into because, you know, you can't change your size, that kind of thing, and you can't necessarily change your sort of stamina, although I know that there's training and working. So it's not a class that you can easily create depth in when it comes to getting, you know, through college and things like that. There's things that you're going to struggle to work at to make yourself a really good tight end. So to have a really deep class, I think was something that was really interesting. And also I genuinely feel trying to go from a non-tight end enthusiast bias position and a logical NFL analytical, you know, position. I still do think when I look at it from that angle of what there was there in regards to skill set and depth and quality, what the Patriots could do with going forward, in, you know, their future going forward. I do think that they whiffed on not taking a tight end for more reasons than just the fact that Claire Cooper, am a tight end enthusiast and I kind of wanted my Sam Laporta or my Josh Wiley or my Michael Mayer. Oh, can you believe it? I would have just completely exploded. I would have self-combusted if they'd have picked him. But yeah, putting that fan bit aside, I still do think logically looking at everything, it is something that they did miss out on. Hopefully the guys that they did take, it might not even matter. They might make a successful offense going forward with the likes of kind of the wide receivers in regard to Douglas and Boutte and stuff like that. So we might not really need that tight end, but I don't personally see it. And I do think it is something that maybe that they missed out on when it was the 2023 draft. And I think maybe it's something that in a few years we're going to see, we're going to reap the lack of rewards from the fact that they didn't take one this year.
It's a fair point. It really is a fair point. And look, bottom line, the argument right now that a lot of people will make about not taking a tight end is that, well, the Patriots were not going to use a marquee tight end in this offense this year anyway. They've got Hunter Henry. They've got Mike Gesicki. They're going to be their top 1-2 combination.
Sure.
That's not necessarily an argument either for or against, because when you draft, usually you're drafting for year 2, year 3. I know that irks some people when I say that, but that's the way the Patriots look at this. When you have an immediate need and a player can come in and fill that role, he's going to do it. But 9 times out of 10, if the Patriots are taking someone, even if it's early on in the draft, they're looking at potential for year 2, year 3, year 4 down the line. So I agree with you in that sense. This was a very deep tight end class. They had numerous options on the table. They wanted to go for a pass catcher. They had a lot of guys that could do it. This draft was full of guys that are capable of being top flight receiving tight ends in this league. Michael Mayer is one of the best in the class. There's no question about it. He's excellent at being able to do that. Dalton Kincaid, people are already calling him the next Travis Kelce, which I think is a little premature. Let the guy catch a couple of passes from Josh Allen first before we start anointing him with the moniker of a future Hall of Famer. That's kind of ridiculous. But at the same time, there are also great blockers. We talked about Shoemaker. We talked about total package tight ends, guys like Tucker Kraft, Zach Kuntz, that could have come in and made a difference on this team. So, yes, on the paper, on the surface, the Patriots made a mistake in not dipping into this class. But one thing that we kind of gleaned out of speaking with Matt Groh on Saturday afternoon is that the New England Patriots were in on tight ends, but you got the feeling that it was in the mid rounds, like maybe even into day 3, where these guys started evaporating off the board, and then all of a sudden, New England found itself playing catch up. If that's where they were looking to target, then that tells me that Hunter Henry is a prime candidate for a contract extension this year. And I think you definitely hit on this. Miguel's going to be here later in the week, folks. That'll be a question we're going to ask him. As a matter of fact, I know if he's listening to this, he's already toiling away getting the numbers together for us. But in any case, that tells me that he is a prime candidate for an extension, which means the Patriots may be looking to retain his services. If all goes well with Gesicki, he may be back for another year or 2. So if this happens the way the Patriots had hoped, they've got their 2 top guys. Now you're looking at maybe the next level and bringing in a third tight end, because Bill O'Brien loves to run 12. You need more than more than 2 tight ends on the roster to effectively run it, keep it going smooth. A lot of pressure on guys like Matt Sokol, Scotty Washington, and Lemkin now coming in as an undrafted rookie free agent. So maybe the Patriots have that in mind, or maybe they're just looking to bring Ryan Izzo back through the doors to satisfy the Countess, folks. That's what we're here for. We put the campaign in place, and you never know, it might happen. No, I can't get through that. No, it's not going to happen, Claire. I apologize. I do apologize.
That's so cruel.
It was a little cruel. It was a little bit. It was a little cruel.
That was cool. I was yes. really close to getting really excited because I was going to say, oh, maybe they're just looking at next year and they're going to pick up the really, really top tight end from Georgia, I believe, Brock Bowers. Maybe they're like going to consolidate all their picks.
Well, they had Darnell Washington this year, and I know Murph was not happy. He was not taken, but there were medical issues. We did talk about those on Monday's show, folks. There are a lot of different reasons why you don't dip into that well, but ultimately, I think the Patriots, drew a bead on some players that maybe weren't available, and they weren't going to deviate their plan and turn it on its ear to accommodate a position that maybe they feel they're a little better positioned at than most people think. Claire, we love talking tight endage with you, but the NFL draft was not all about tight ends. It definitely wasn't all about tight ends in New England. It was about Christian Gonzalez coming here to be the cornerback of the future for New England. But as much as we all love the Christian Gonzalez pick, the other picks in the draft, well, the fan base is up and down on all of them. In just a moment, the Countess of Claz and I are going to tell you which player drafted on day 2 or day 3 is going to have the biggest impact on the Patriots, not just this season, but even beyond. We're going to talk more about the Patriots 2023 draft class with the Countess of Claz herself when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues. That's fans. Thank you once again for taking time out of your busy schedule to spend it with Locked On Patriots, spending it with yours truly. And of course, how could you not enjoy a midweek part of Locked On Patriots without the wisdom and the counsel of our great friend, the illustrious ClazzyClare Cooper, columnist extraordinaire of Pat's Propaganda, and also the host of her very own Patriots podcast, The Clare Perspective. Folks, check it out wherever you get your podcasts. And Claire, we talked a lot tight endage in the previous segment, and I know you were excited, and I know you're still upset with me about that Ryan Izzo comment. We will leave that for another day.
Fair about that.
You think the Countess is displeased now? Ooh, to do. All right, I have to stop doing that. That's getting annoying. We are retiring that, folks. That'll be done. Not the meme. That's still going to happen on Twitter, but I won't do the impression any longer. But Claire, in any case, the New England Patriots choosing 12 players for the first time since 2010. By the way, that 2010 draft just happened to include Rob Gronkowski in there. Just saying, we bring it all back to tight end.
The hits just keep on coming. They just keep
on
coming.
It's all full circle. But the Patriots came away with a draft haul, and no matter how you slice it, there's going to be a lot of new faces doing a lot of familiar things in New England. Whether you're talking specialists, kicker, punter, cornerback, you're talking offensive line, defensive line, a lot of things that the Patriots did, I think, a fairly good job of upgrading their roster. But the most important question on everybody's mind is who's going to make the impact? Who are we going to see make an impact, not just this year, but years down the line? Picks that could have a potential impact on the face of the franchise even. I'm not asking you to necessarily wear your Belichickian crystal ball hat in that regard, but when you look into the tea leaves, oh, great, Sage. We haven't done that in a while either. We got to bring back some clairvoyance. I'm going to spontaneously ask you to pull upon some clairvoyance right now. Who do you see in this 2023 draft class emerging as maybe a potential star on this team, even, or a big contributor?
Well, obviously, it all depends on if they work out. If they are kind of what we think they are, if they're as successful as we anticipate they may be, if they slot into the team as well as they could do, it's all ifs, buts, candy and nuts, isn't it? And we're miles away from Christmas. But for me, I think, I was interested in once I looked at it, most of the signings, because the whole thing about how one of the guards might end up playing tackle, how they've got another Andrews at center because they've got a bit of a type when it comes to it, which I really, really love anyway. I mean, the edge guy, Keon White, I've heard the most amazing things about him ever since, him being drafted. So there's a lot that I didn't know that maybe a lot of people didn't know about who they've drafted when it comes to kind of like super duperness, if you like. But I think for me, and people are going to laugh because I know, but kickers and punters are people too, folks, and they are really important. And I think seeing what we saw last season with the whole Jake Bailey injured, the whole Pilardi situation, Nick Folk having to do kickoff duties and it not being a great success because it isn't his niche, that kind of thing, to bring in a kicker and a punter, I think is key. Now, I know there's a lot about in regards to how they moved up for the kicker and he wasn't the top kicker. And if you're going to move up for a kicker, you should have took Moody. I get all that. And I kind of just want to push that to one side and just look at them on the face of they've added, a kicker and a punter. And I think, I like it. I like the punter. The punter is kind of. I was a Jake Bailey fan. I'm a bit of a punter fan as well. I seem to have a bit of a thing for punters as well. We're not sure why. We don't question these things if we can help it because we don't always want to know the answer.
It's all part of the clairvoyance. It's all part of those vibes.
Yeah. Okay. I was a big Jake Bailey fan, and I was kind of sad to see. I was sad to see the decline of him, as I think everybody probably was, because obviously it was unfortunate. But I was kind of sad to see him go. It was a shame. I'm really glad that they picked up a punter. And this guy, people are making kind of fun of how he looked with his glasses and his mustache and his little polo shirt. I just think it's awesome. I absolutely love it. I kind of love this Bryce Barringer guy, 6'3" punter. I just love it, and I think that if he works out, this is quality, because the one thing in regards to punting is getting it in the right place. If this big leg of his can also has some decent accuracy, then I think this is somebody that's sneakily going to sort of set you up for years to come. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily put much onus in kicking and punters, and I know it's not the most exciting and not the most sparkling. I totally get it, but as somebody that's kind of grown through the sport and learned more and researched more and just watched it more and more and more, I think I appreciate all aspects of the game, because to me everything is really important. Because although I know a lot of people, it's like, oh, special teams is special teams, and some teams don't even rate kind of special teams. Looking at when the Patriots have had a deficit in certain areas, it all makes a massive difference, and that ultimately ends up with a not successful season, because we've seen it ourselves. Even to the unexciting thing of not having depth at the offensive line. I mean, look how that impacted. And I know people are like, oh, offensive line depth, wow. Everything is key. And I think if you're a fan of the sport, you do really see that. I know we all have our little favourites. Obviously, mine is tight ends. My friend Chidders, he's a massive linebacker fan, and I'm starting to really get on board with that as well. And that's the thing, I'm getting on board with all the positions and having enthusiasm for all the positions, because I just love the sport. And I imagine that most kind of like NFL fans out there are pretty similar, really. You just love this sport and just have passion for this sport. But yeah, kind of dialing it back now, because I'm just getting so enthusiastic, aren't I? But yeah, I think looking at sort of all of the ones that they've taken, the ones for me that feel like, as long as they work out, could maybe have the most significant impact long term, long stretch, not just short term sparkly wow kind of factor, is the kicker and punter. And yeah, I am quite excited that we've got a new punter, and I like the look of him, and I think he's a bit sneaky sexy and stuff like this. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Barringer suit up as a Patriot and what he could do. And I'm just hoping, fingers crossed, that he does do really well so that I don't get loads of flack.
Well, I, for one, you're not going to catch flack on this end. I, for one, am very glad that you chose either the punter or the kicker, because these picks, I shouldn't say the punter. I think a lot of people are on board with Bryce Barringer, and they should be. This kid does have a tremendous leg, averaging 49 yards per punt. I mean, you get that type of power, you get that type of, like you said, accuracy. If he can hone that in the pros, you're looking at a guy that can have this position for a number of years. That's a big void filled on this roster. Kicker was more of a need than people are letting on. There is no one that has more respect, and I've said this 3 days now in a row, for Nick Folk than I do. I've loved covering him up here. He is truly one of the great guys you'll ever meet in this business. Not only that, but he's a very, very good kicker. I mean, he did a tremendous job up here. Really, for a few games, he carried the Patriots' load in terms of offensive point production. So no one is downing Nick Folk. But at 38 years old and knowing that the distance is not going to get any better, it's only going to regress.
Sure.
The Patriots knew they had to dip into this market. And with Jake Moody already off the board, I think they felt that they needed to trade up and try to get this guy. Now, was it the right move? Yeah, you're going to get a lot of analysts that are going to, beat their shoe against the desk and, get on their high horse and tell you, no, it's never a good idea and all that. I mean, there are arguments for and against it. I'm not going to sit here and chastise anybody for their opinion, but in my opinion, I think that the Patriots zeroed in on kicking talent in this draft. When Moody came off the board, they said, we have to secure Ryland. We can't take any chances that he's going to go elsewhere. Let's go get him and let's do it. So I applaud you for saying that it was the punter and even mentioning the kicker with Chad Ryland, because I think the Patriots got two good players here, folks. I don't care where they're drafted. I don't care where they're taken. If they work out and they are key contributors here for a number of years, most people are not going to worry about where these guys were taken in the draft. Only the Patriots brass and only in that war room are they going to worry about how they can make the finances work. That's where you bring in our guy Miguel, and he'll make it all work for you, folks. So Miguel's got all of this planned. He's got all of it taken care of, and that's it. Anything more to add on your players before I tell you who I think my hidden gem in this draft may be?
No, I should probably stop now before I get really too excited about a kicker and a punter. I think we should move it along, to be honest with you.
What do you think, folks? Think we should get Claire more excited, or you think you want to hear me? Well, the poll on the bottom is not even needed. We know the answer to this question. I'm about to raise the ire of our mutual friend here because he doesn't see this the way I do. But Marte Mapu is a guy that I cannot wait to watch in a Patriots uniform. And even though some people will tell you, especially some people that took the airwaves here with me on Monday afternoon, believe that this might have been a superfluous pick, this is the prototypical Patriots pick. This really is, I think, the pick of the Patriots draft for me, other than Christian Gonzalez. This kid's going to play linebacker. I know a lot of people are listing him as a cornerback, as a safety. Our good mutual friend, Pat Lane, keeps pointing this out every single day on Twitter, and I applaud him for it. They listed him as a linebacker. That should tell you something about where they plan on playing this kid. But he's going to line up all over the formation. He can do it. He's lined up at linebacker. He's lined up at corner. We've seen him play nickel in addition to being listed as a safety. Pass coverage, run defense. This kid's good in both, folks. Pro Football Focus graded him a 77.2 in pass coverage and an 85.9 in run defense last season. If you want to shore up defense against the run and you want to have a linebacker that can make those plays, and the Patriots did have difficulty with linebackers against the run last year. They were stout up front, but they needed some help in the middle part of that defense. This kid does it, and I think he's going to do it very well. He had 510 snaps in the slot, 249 in the box last year, and 49 snaps along the defensive line. I think that increases this year, and I think Mapu is someone that's going to come in, have an immediate impact. I think you're going to see him down the line. And it's potential insurance if they don't re-sign Kyle Duggar, and that will hurt deeply. I love Kyle, but you know as well as I do, Claire, this is a business, and Kyle has positioned himself well for a pretty major payday. If New England is serious about how they value this position, they'll do what they have to do to keep Kyle Duggar in a Patriots uniform. My gut tells me they do it this time because I think they like him that much. But if they don't, they've got someone that can come in and kind of play that role a little bit as well. So I love Marte Mapu. I thought this was a great pick for them. And next to Christian Gonzalez, probably my favorite pick in the draft.
Nice. See, for me, short term, maybe not so much kind of the punters and kickers. As I said, for me, it's more of a going the distance kind of thing. It might not be that, the first 3 games we really see a massive impact like we might in regards to like your guy. But yeah, I can't help but being excited. Like I said, I'm a bit of a punter girl now. So
that's great, though. And folks, did we mention your favorite? Maybe we completely ignored it. That's what this is all about. The great thing about draft time now, post-draft, is that no one is wrong in their assessment. There's no sample size. There's no ability to measure a practice against a game. Any opinion is valid, and that's what we love about it. And you guys are phenomenal listeners, and we love to hear your opinion. So drop one in the comments section below. Let us know what your thoughts are on the 2023 draft class. And also let us know your thoughts on tight endage. Did the Patriots do enough to keep themselves competitive in this area? Or are they going to look back at this amazingly stacked 2023 class and say, we could have had one of them and we chose to go elsewhere? Folks, it's always an honor. It is always my privilege to be joined by the Countess of Claz herself. We love when she stops by here each and every Wednesday. Folks, next Wednesday, we'll see if Claire is once again speaking to me after the Ryan Izzo comment. But in any case, Claire, the floor is yours. Please let everyone know where they can reach out to you, where they can find your great work, and what we can expect from the great voice, the great pen of Clare ClazzyClare Cooper.
Oh, thanks ever so much, Mike. And yeah, we'll talk about the Izzo thing later. But yeah, you can find me as usual, patspropaganda.com. I did a day one recap and Tom did a day sort of around 2-3 recap. So kind of go over there if you want to catch anything up in regards to that. And there will be some more content coming. So just keep your eyes out on that. Obviously, as we're going through the off season, we're trying to kind of ebbs and flows. So we'll bring you stuff. But yeah, a Clare perspective will be out very soon. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I recorded the next episode this morning, the Draftermath episode. So you had the pre-draft episode with my lovely assistant Chudders, who actually came on as a co-host. So I hope you listened to and enjoyed that, brought to you by fullpresscoverage.com. But next you shall have the Draftermath, where we discuss kind of like what Mike and I have already talked about today, but much more and much different. And I'm getting the opinions of Nick Fitzy-Stevens of WEI. So I hope that you're downloading, subscribing, etc to a Clare perspective, and if you're not, then why not, that kind of thing. But yeah, hopefully that will be out shortly, so you can check that out on all those places that you like to download your podcast, and just kind of check out Twitter, because when I do some work, it kind of tends to go out on there, so that's sort of where you'll get the key from, that you'll see what I've done. But yeah, a Clare perspective is out soon, so do look out for that.
Folks, every single week, whenever she puts pen to paper, voice to microphone, you want to check this out. This new listen coming up with Nick, who's among the best in the business of what he does, is going to be a great listen, as a Clare perspective always is. So download, subscribe to, follow wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, while you're at it, if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe to Locked On Patriots, or download, subscribe to, follow wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget, folks, here on Locked On Patriots, tomorrow on Thursday, Spencer McLaughlin, host of Locked On Oregon, is going to be breaking down all things Christian Gonzalez. If you're as excited about this draft pick as I am, you are not going to want to miss this. So be sure to smash that subscribe button so you stay in on the action. On behalf of the illustrious Clare ClazzyClare Cooper, I'm Mike Debate. Continue to stay safe, stay well, be the change you wish to see in the world. Once again, a shout out to all of you everydayers for making Locked On Patriots your team every day. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Patriots.